This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
With Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network, joining me now. And, of course, he did a couple during the bye week, which I appreciate. You can search on YouTube, Pete Bercich 56, all one word. Or Eye in the Sky, but the Eye in the Sky video podcast that he does via YouTube with these breakdowns, Pete, I've already got two different directions that I want to go in this conversation and with my thought process with Philly around the corner. But I do want to start here. The team out of the bye, team getting healthy. Just what happens during a bye week when so many people are down, man? We're trying to open practice windows. We're hoping Cashman's back, Van Ginkel in this neck. We know about the kid QB's ankle, the running back. Aaron Jones might be back. Like, how, in some ways, despite it being a break, how hectic or chaotic can it be during a week like that where everybody's hurting and trying to get healthy?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of what and during the bye week, you just let everything go, let everybody go. You have a little bit of work to do, but it's not until today, maybe even tomorrow, that you really start to take a look at those guys to see if they are, ready to come back. And you have to, because today starts the game planning for Philadelphia. Right? They may have started a little bit because they played on Thursday, so you had a couple extra days to look at everything. But for the most part, you've got to know who's going to be in there. You got to know who's going to be healthy. And so, those decisions will be made here over the next couple of days. And do we need all of them? Yes, we need you need every single one of those guys because this is that stretch of games that are going to come quickly because you've got to play Philadelphia and then turn around and play a short week and go out to California. So you need your rest. And again, you got to get those bodies back. They're important, right? I think I think Van Ginkel is a huge part of the defense in the run in regards to the run and just how he plays the outside tackle position. So I think he'll be a big plus. And then, obviously Cashman would be as well. Especially going against a team like Philly, who's lost a couple in a row, and they're going to want to get back to their roots, right? They're going to want to get back to on the road, simple football. I would just expect to see a lot of Saquon Barkley on Sunday.
Yeah, what was that game in London? It just kind of felt like Kevin O'Connell. I don't want to say it was a complete coaching performance. That's not the right way I'm looking at it. But just learning about what he has and potentially what he'll have to continue working with out of the bye, hoping we get some good news next couple of days on the health, as we just talked about. But it felt like he was exhausted. Like that was maybe one of the harder coach. Maybe that's the way to put it. Did it feel like maybe that was one of the more difficult or challenging, individual games that Kevin O'Connell has coached as the head man for the Vikes?
Yeah, I think so. I guess that's a lot of what I did point out in the videos. Is just, what the feeling was going into that football game, with being down 3 offensive linemen, and you're going against one of the better fronts in the NFL, and to come up with a running game, was it, was it Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys back in the 90s? No, but for what we had and what we were able to put on the field, those guys played very well. Joe Huber played as well as he could. He's going against Malik Collins, one of the best, I think, interior pass rushers in the league at this time, and held up very well. They ran some traps. They did a lot of different things. I think the tight ends stepped up, both T.J. Hockenson and Josh Oliver. Will Fries, I think, had a very, very good game as well. So the guys that you needed to step up did, minus the 2 fumbles. It would have been, I think, a much better day on the ground. But you could pick out and you could feel and you could see in the passing game and the running game specifically things that the offense did, that Coach O'Connell and Wes Phillips did to make things work. right?
Yeah.
The specific types of runs, maybe some that we haven't seen, and also in the passing game, getting the ball to Justin Jefferson. And on that end, seeing, Justin Jefferson one-on-one with any corner, he and Carson Wentz are developing a nice little rapport. And Carson Wentz is starting to just get him the back shoulder fades and start doing some things. You see Tampa 2, you got JJ running out, Justin Jefferson running down the middle of the field. You're going to throw him the football and let Jefferson make a play, and he did a few times. So that, to keep those guys positive on the road in a foreign country for an entire week, knowing having to fly bodies out just to get enough guys in the room, that part of it I think is pretty remarkable and shouldn't be overlooked. Especially that game. If you look historically, the difference between going 2-3 and 3-2 is a 28% better chance of making the playoffs.
Wow!
When I saw that number, I was amazed. If you're 3-2, it's right around, it's 50%, and if you're 2-3, it's like around 22. And I guess in hindsight, I didn't know that going into the game, but in hindsight, you're like, wow, that puts us in a much better position going into this next stretch of games.
Yeah, and without even knowing that stat, though, just feeling the urgency of what needed to take place. And you mentioned Justin Jefferson. By the way, Pete Bercich, radio analyst, Vikings Radio Network, Eye in the Sky video podcast, elite analysis via YouTube. You can search Pete Bercich 56 and you'll find it, and subscribe today. Hit that little bell or whatever it is that you YouTubers do, Mr. Bercich.
Click all of them, right?
Yeah, click all of them. Sioux Cup Manufacturing brings you Pete with us 9 to noon. Thank you, Sioux Cup Manufacturing, for Monday Morning Bercich. You mentioned Justin Jefferson, and when we have the Eagles coming to town and we were talking, I just think the Eagles are their own worst enemy, where it feels like they're the most talented team in the NFL, but just how the big personalities can connect and come together and find some form of cohesion. It's really hurt them the last couple of weeks. But Justin Jefferson, whether it's the 7 different QBs that have thrown to him the last handful of years, maybe even more potential quarterback carouseling taking place, him stepping up in moments and just effectively calling game. Like, Carson, just get it within 5 feet of me. I will make the freaking catch. There's no way we're losing to the Browns. I'm just impressed when you see how some other big personalities in the NFL comport themselves and handle adversity. Justin Jefferson just rises to the occasion every damn time. It's so awesome to watch number 18.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen kind of a slow start, I think, to his season. Going into this one, 326 yards through the first 4 games. That's gonna be closer to 500 now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been frustrating for him, right? It's frustrating for him because he has a different guy throwing him the football. Had a couple of different guys throwing him the football, but for Jefferson, it's what can you control? You can't control who's at quarterback, right? You can't. There's nothing you can do about that. You have to play the hand that you're dealt. And to that point, again, you finally saw Carson Wentz, I think, have a lot more confidence in his ability to throw on the outside to JJ. I mean, that back shoulder fade and that final drive for 21 yards. I mean, that he knew he was throwing that football there.
Yeah.
And I guess so. Nora, I guess my point in all this is game planning is important. It's going to win you some downs. It's going to you throw Cam Akers in and you get a touchdown pass on a wildcat look, but at some point somebody has to step up. Right. And when the Vikings needed, I mean, if you just look at the great plays that were made, Jefferson was responsible for most of them. And you got to continue that. And he's going to have another good matchup, I think, this week. Adoree Jackson is struggling. Their DBs, I think, as a group are struggling a little bit for Philadelphia. So those matchups you have to wear out. You have to take advantage of them. No question.
I don't know how much headspace. I mean, I don't think I've seen, like, you haven't put out a specific podcast on it. Yeah, I don't see that. O-line, I do want to get to the Minnesota Moving Company. Maybe that plays into part of this as well, Pete. How much headspace have you put into what does J.J. McCarthy need to do to get back to the field? Is it just merely being 100%? We've heard about kind of the commitment to the plan of full practice weeks and feeling good on that ankle. Where are you at with that conversation? As I mean, this shoulder injury is no joke for Carson Wentz. So I mean, do you put a 85% J.J. McCarthy in because of a severe shoulder situation with Carson? Are we talking about a Brosmer cat at home against the freaking Eagles defense and Vic Fangio licking his chops? Like, where are you at with everything in relation to how Kevin O'Connell is handling the quarterback position and maybe how things could play out, from this point forward?
Well, I think you have, that's a tough one. It depends on how you have to sit there and really look at how well these guys are all feeling, and unfortunately, we don't know that, right? We don't know if J.J. McCarthy is 100%. I think the health side of it dictates quite a bit. And the other thing is that you drafted J.J. McCarthy and went into the season expecting him to be the starter. So at some point, you expect that to be handed back to him, or given back to him to let him develop and let him be the future of the franchise. That's a tough one because we've seen how well Wentz has played. He's gotten better. And, that one, a guy at this stage against this team with a guy with between the two, you think Carson Wentz might be a little bit better equipped just because he knows this team. He's been down this road. He's played. Yeah, obviously he has a lot more experience. He knows he's experienced enough to run a shorter, controlled, three-step type passing game. I just think that the offense will have to change quite a bit. You're not going to have the flexibility in game planning if you have J.J. McCarthy back in there. But if he's the healthiest guy, then you got to put him back in. And if it's the two of them, again, you have to sit back and go, all right, we're going to go with this guy, and quarterback A, and then Brosmer. You just need to be ready. This isn't a normal just be a backup week. You're going to get some snaps during the week and do some different things because you've got to be ready to have maybe all three of them in there. Who knows, right? And that's the tough part in order. You just don't know how bad is Wentz's shoulder, how good is J.J. McCarthy's ankle, and you gotta kind of go pick one of the two. And that's why I'm saying the earlier in the week you can figure out who that quarterback is going to be is essential because you have all that game planning that you have to do because the offense does look a lot different with McCarthy in there as opposed to Carson Wentz. Not like a quantum leap in difference, but It's different enough.
Absolutely. Time for a few more here with you, Pete. Let me lay this out for you. So I put it kind of in the idea that Andrew Van Ginkel is vital to this defense. That does not mean that Dallas Turner is a bust. Both things can be accurate where Dallas Turner is growing. He's done a few good things, but we need Van Ginkel back. Do you see it that way, or how do you see it where I'm just not necessarily worried about Dallas Turner per se, but I do feel the loss of a Van Ginkel being healthy in this lineup, and this neck thing is quite precarious.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the teams that we played. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, it's AFC North, right? These guys run the football. They're very physical. They throw in extra offensive linemen, right? They throw... Cleveland throws in defensive linemen to play fullback. I mean, they're two very physical teams. And so Andrew Van Ginkel and his ability to, it's just his feel for, holding the edge and playing the run is what would have been, very, very helpful. And, I was asked about that, about just the running game and what's going on defensively. And it's kind of a tough, it's not sexy or glamorous. It's kind of getting a technique and feel for what offenses are trying to do.
Yeah.
And Quinshon Judkins was very, very good at kind of taking the defense one way and then cutting back and going the other. And he found him. He got himself up on some DBs, and we had a couple missed tackles, and that needs to improve. No question about that. But Andrew Van Ginkel, I think, would help solidify the running game quite a bit. And the fact that you're saying that doesn't take anything away from Dallas Turner. He's had an opportunity in the last couple of weeks to play quite a bit, and I think he's played pretty well for the most part. I think he had one of his better games against Pittsburgh. So he's improving. But yeah, you need that guy back. You need 43 back in the mix, I think, to help show up that run. And if you get Cashman in there as well, I mean, those two bodies right there they will make a difference. And that little bit of difference can go a long way.
Do you think Blake Brandel kind of played himself into a spot where he's just going to be the center until, I don't know what the status and the health situation is with Ryan Kelly being on IR, and Michael Juergens got his shot at it, wasn't particularly elite, and then he also got hurt. Is this did Blake Brandel go Wally Pipp on this thing and and find himself into a spot?
Yeah, I think he played well enough that you could put him back in there and not be panicked. I mean, anytime a guy plays a position for the first time, you're going to panic a little bit, or you're going to worry a little bit. But no, I think he did a pretty good job. He's a big body, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we had a saying back in college with guys that would come in and then they would be defensive linemen and they would last there for a little bit, and then they go to the O-line, and then if you can't make it on the O-line, then you go to the bus line because you're on your way out. So Brandel is making that trend closer to the center. Now he is the center. So I think that you'll see a lot more guys go from guard to center than you will from center to guard or from guard to tackle. You're right in the mix. You usually have help. It's very difficult to isolate a center in pass rush without putting 5 men on the line of scrimmage, that kind of thing. But I think Brandel did a good job. He's big. You can't coach big. Takes up a lot of space. I thought he had a pretty good day. Did some good things, and with Ryan Kelly next to him, and hopefully Donovan Jackson getting back. I don't know what his schedule is. If he's indeed going to be missing again, then you're talking about Joe Huber being back in there, and Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. You got some big bodies coming up this week, so it's going to be another battle in the interior.
Yeah, just last thing for you then, and it's a Monday. You haven't even put the full depth chart together, the work that you put in, its names and numbers, et cetera, and some stats, and just it's early week, but just top of head, just one thing you're thinking about with Philly in town this weekend. We've seen them kind of implode the last couple of weeks, start 4-0. They've lost 2 straight, but just what are you thinking about in terms of our squad and Philly at US Bank Stadium for a nooner on Sunday?
We're going to need the crowd, right? We need that advantage. When teams like Philadelphia, when you see teams like Philadelphia struggle like they are, it's going to be about getting back to the basics, right? And for them, I think offensively, it's going to be running the football, and that's why Van Ginkel is so important to get back in there. I think they're going to lean pretty heavily on Saquon Barkley. Not try to make it a game where Jalen Hurts is just going to drop back, because he wasn't even pressured much against the Giants late in the game. The Giants, that pass rush kind of wore out on them. But the Vikings can consistently rush the passer, and they're going to see film for the last couple of weeks of teams being pretty successful on the ground. So I would assume that they're going to go back. They're going to go back to the running game quite a bit, and then defensively, they got some struggles on the outside, and that's why it's on the outside of that defense, I think, and that's why who plays quarterback for us is going to be so imperative.
Hey, thanks for your time this morning, my man. Have an awesome week, and just looking forward to hearing you sitting shotgun with PA on Sunday for an actual normal timed game as part of the NFL schedule. My goodness. Kegs and eggs sounds cool. It's not that cool when you're getting Rodgers. And I like noon football games. Makes life easier, I think.
Yeah. Well, we get one, and then we got to go out to L.A. for Thursday. So you get
Thursday
one.
Night. Come on. I mean, just give us a break, Goodell. Thanks as always, man. I'll talk to you again soon, all right?
All right, Nardo. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you. That's Pete Bercich, radio analyst, Vikings Radio Network, at Pete Bercich via X. And then check out his YouTube video podcast that he does. Cool breakdowns, most recently within the last couple of days. One on Justin Jefferson just taking over and doing everything. The scheming with this cat is unbelievable. The production, he's coming through. He also did a cool video on the Minnesota Vikings offensive line and what it took with Huber and School and just all the names that you did not anticipate being in, not just in uniform, but on the field for the Vikings and how they handled business at Tottenham against the Browns. Cool stuff there at Pete Bercich 56 via YouTube. You can see his Eye in the Sky podcast. Thank you, Sukup Manufacturing, for bringing you Pete Bercich on a weekly basis. Sukup Manufacturing. When we return, some news with Brett Blakemore and then PJ Fleck, Gopher football head coach. They beat Purdue. We're going to chat with him around 10:45. Parker Fox, I think, is going to jump in the mix as well. It's Nordo in for PA on a Monday, 9 to noon on the Fan. Cash giveaway?
The cash thing. The Fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks to the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is cash. Keyword cash. KFAN.com. Keyword cash. News is If you want to chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows, you can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. So that's something you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Hey, it's News du Nord. Could it be Brett's blatherings? Brett's Blakemore's bits? Regardless of what you name it. Again, we thrive on alliteration here at the Fan, so we got to figure something out. I'm sure we did. Probably done this dumb throwaway thing 100 times with Brett, but all the same. Whatever it is, it's brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park in Shakopee. CanterburyPark.com is the website. You're feeling the felt. It's poker, blackjack, table games all year long. And on Thursdays, if you're feeling your ideas for a weekend of football games, they have the NFL Pro Football Pick'em Challenge at Canterbury on Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. You roll into Shakopee. It's the best place to go to play blackjack and have sips of chips and tip Derek Allen. While you're there, you just pick the winners. NFL Pro Pick'em Challenge at Canterbury on Thursdays. Weekly winners, a little walking around money, a little something for the effort. But then at the end of the year, somebody's going to win a prize, free fuel for a year from Quick Trip. So just some of my favorite people down there in Shakopee. I hope that you support them and enjoy your time there. CanterburyPark.com. Where are we headed to first?
It's not the season for it, but Dave's faves. Always a winner. Dave's faves.
I get it. I hit at least one pick five every summer.
Yeah, exactly. Simply
in past performances. I know some cursory ways to handicap races. I'm not a complete dolt. Pretty close, but not a complete dolt. But Dave's faves for like a couple of bucks. There's usually either Dave himself or some gal at a stand near the entrance. You see the little green pamphlet. It's $2-3, and I hit a pick five. This is no hyperbole. I have no reason but to be honest. I hit a pick five, or I hit like a 7, 8, 9 to 1 shot every single summer that I'm out there, and it's because of Dave's faves at Canterbury.
All right, we'll go here.
Number one.
Crazy day in the NFL. A slate that didn't really look all that exciting. The Broncos early on struggle with the hapless Jets. That was a weird one. Backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett keeps the Cardinals alive and kind of gives the Colts all they can handle, but the Colts eventually win. The game I want to talk about, just seeing the Cowboys lose. I forgot about that loss. That's terrible for them. As Lions-Chiefs, we all, you and me, both want to see the Lions lose. That's good news for everybody. But the brawl at the end there was fighting and, of course, a usual suspect in Branch punching somebody in the face mask. Just kind of a weird game where it seemed like the Chiefs just had momentum. And it also kind of delved into who could go for it for fourth down more, especially in the first half, because the Lions almost forced you to go for it. And it does make the game more exciting. But I'm happy to see the Chiefs pull out and get the win. They're 3-3, and Rice is on the way back.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, you mentioned Brian Branch, super talented player, but there is a little bit of an attitude there. You see, that might just be part of that defense and what Campbell is putting together in Detroit. I like Brian Branch. Yeah, he kind of walks by and tries to. I mean, wasn't it Juju Smith-Schuster?
I believe
that
so.
Got after him a little bit, or at least that's what kind of started the whole bit. Is Branch kind of struts by or makes contact with Mahomes.
Yeah,
I'm watching this in bed as I'm trying to fall asleep, so I had like one eye open. But I think it was Branch either brushes or.
He stiffed, like Mahomes was kind of putting his hand out, like good game, and he stiffed him.
Yeah, he just totally ignored him,
Correct.
right? Okay, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they just lost. I don't see, like, you're making Branch to sound like he's an inherently bad or dirty player. I like the kid. So, the brawls stink. Chiefs feeling good about themselves. Lions with an opportunity. Then, I don't know how much does it play into it where, they found a way to best him a couple of years ago. I think that was at Arrowhead as well. I don't know. I don't really read. That just feels like attitudes flying high. I mean, that's just kind of what it feels like to me. No big deal there. Is a big deal from a divisional standpoint to knock down the Lions. Just a peg. They're still 4-2. You feel because of the tie, like you're one of those guys. You're one of those if the playoffs started today type of people.
Yes.
Where, I mean, that has to be exhausting because what is it? Week 6.
It's kind of fun.
And if the playoffs started today, you can sit in all of your Reddit threads with your fellow Packer fans, including a couple of texters here at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. And you can all just sit together. If the playoffs started today... Oh, Jordan Love's a division champion. You love doing that. You absolutely love doing that. It's probably part of your most recent episode of Packer Review with Dave Sinekin.
It makes a cameo.
I love how muddy this division is. And we got a tough one in front of us with the Eagles, but just, even the Bears in Washington this evening, yep. I believe, obviously go Commanders. That's clear and obvious, hoping that they knock them to 2-3. But I mean, just crazy how things have panned out. Now, the Niners, man, they're playing with house money right now. They lose yesterday. This Mac Jones thing will have an expiration date on it. The Seahawks want to see them. And just again, 3 teams at 4-2 in the NFC West. Cards on the grind, and now this Kyler thing popping up. Jacoby Brissett can only take you so far. NFC East potentially becoming more interesting now that the Commanders are healthy, but the Cowboys have nothing. And it's cool right now. This feels like soak in this Jackson Dart, Cam Scattaboo thing while you can. They are going to lose games in embarrassing fashion in 2025. There's nothing magical happening. Just from a pragmatic football fan standpoint, they're great for the sport. They're super entertaining. Mm-hmm. The personality mix there is awesome. Love that. And Jackson Dart's fun to watch, and this bowling ball in Scattaboo is super cool. So I dig it. The wheels are going to fall off that thing. And Daboll will be probably looking for a new job within the next year or so. But man, it's super muddy in the NFC again. That's kind of what I take away from that game is the way that I looked at the Chiefs and just kind of the downturn. Everything is so hard, it feels like, for them to find themselves over the top. And it probably is going to be that way all year, but they still find their way to the finish line. And again, just a game behind a Chargers team that is incredibly injured right now. Broncos team still coming together, still growing. You mentioned the struggles they had against the Jets, who are 0-6. Aaron Glenn, by the way, that is a problem in New York. It's the Jets. So I guess maybe that's just what we came to expect. So, but cool weekend of games.
Number 2.
The Wild did not have a cool weekend of games because the home opener did not go anything to plan, a 7-4 L to Columbus. They go again tonight at Grand Casino Arena. They get Drew Doughty and the Kings. The Lions, we still haven't seen what the lines are going to look like tonight. I'd imagine there'd be some shakeup because the first line was great. They produced every single goal that the Wild scored.
Yeah.
Everyone else, not so much. So you have to not assume, but hope that maybe Boldy goes on the second line to kind of spread the love a little bit.
Well, what's the philosophy behind that? You potentially ruin or change chemistry, right?
Potentially, but I think Kaprizov is good enough to where if he has, Eck and Tarasenko, he could still produce.
Okay.
And I think you're better off letting Kaprizov do the work on the top line and maybe let a really balanced Rossi, Boldy, and who knows, maybe Ogren, let me dream, Yurov. But I don't think that's what they're going to do, but that would be my diagnosis. What do you think of the game tonight against Drew Doughty, who hates Kaprizov?
Well, I'll be honest. It's very surface level for me, just 2 games into the season and still trying to get a grasp of what they do have outside of that high-flying line right now, man. So you heard it with Gork to open the show, just Tarasenko just plotting. Where are you going to get without Zuccarello? And now Sturm, although Sturm never really going to be relied upon as a goal scorer. I know that. I'm just speaking strictly on roster depth at this stage. But without Zuccarello, where are you going to get the goals? Where are you going to get the goals outside of that line, as you just laid out? And it's got to be the Tarasenko type. So Fiala's going to come in here. Fiala's full of, vigor, and they're going to be an absolute challenge. They're just kind of a cool team. I kind of love whether it's. It's not like, I'm interested in going up against McDavid on a nightly basis, but just those West Coast teams, man, whether it's the Kings, the Oilers to an extent because of some goaltending issues that they've had historically. Like, these are freaking over games. Like, these are 7, 8, 9 goal games. That's not preferred, like giving up 7 and putting 50 shots on Elvis and not finding your way through. You did have some power play goals, which is sweet. But it's just going to be an enjoyable game. But Tarasenko would be one of the people that I'm specifically watching. I just want to know if he's still got it. That's all.
I have it.
Let's do this because I know you put some playoff baseball and some stuff, some bits into the mix as well. So we will revisit this during the final hour because I'm kind of pumped. You're a Braves fan. I'm a Twins fan, and
we're both in the doldrums right now.
But I'm loving the Brew Crew, man.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's going to be daunting against the Dodgers. I think game 1's tonight. And I'm sure Rob Manfred's just super excited. Hey, let's have a Brewers-Mariners World Series. Although Cal Raleigh, big dumper, found his way with a solo shot, I think, last night in game 1 of the ALCS over the Blue Jays. But
Manfred thinks it's just a hunk of metal anyways, the World Series trophy. So what does it matter?
That's all that it matters. But I do want to revisit some non-Viking centric topics maybe sometime in the final hour. But next, let's pause. Let's get to PJ Fleck, head coach Gophers football. He's going to be with us next 9 to noon on the Fan. Welcome back, Norderwind for PA on a Monday, 9 to noon. And joining us now, head coach, Golden Gophers football, PJ Fleck. Gophers, congratulations, coach, on the homecoming W and finding your way past Purdue on Saturday night. That was awesome.
Nordo, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us back on the show. It was a big win for us. Thanked our entire crowd. Had great having over 200-plus alum back for homecoming. I think that was really, really special for us, and just a great atmosphere. And we found enough plays, and our playmakers stepped up and made those plays in the critical moments to find a way to win. So we knew we were going to be in a lot of one-possession games this year, and so far so good with 2-0 in one-possession games within the league, and know that there's going to be a lot more around the corner.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I framed it up. I'm an outsider, you're an insider, but I like to make things simple in terms of it felt like in some ways that was like a test of will, where your squad just wanted it more. You found the answer in the end and grinded your way to a victory. Is it fair to sum it up, or maybe that's just too simplistic?
Well, if you look at the stat sheet and you took away the turnover margin, you look at it, you're like, okay, maybe Purdue won that football game, but then you throw the turnover margin in there, and we win that 4-1, right, which is a huge statistic in the game. And then I thought our players and our best players played their best in the biggest moments during that game when we needed it the most, whether that was Coy's pick six or Kerry Brown's interception or Deonta McMillan's play at the very end to end the game, and Drake Lindsey's 4th down run, or Jamison Geer's touchdown, our special teams field goals. All of our guys did what they had to do. Sometimes as a fan or in the media or even as a coach, you look at it through this, okay, idealistic and perfect world. It's not going to be that way. You've got to look at it through a real world and realistic lens. And they get paid. They're on scholarship too. They're fighting for wins. Their 3 losses leading up to ours was all by ranked teams. So they were a really good football team who could score at will. I loved how our guys just continued to stay in there. They stayed resilient and found a way at the end to make one more play than Purdue. So we were very, very glad to be 1-0 and have moved on to Nebraska.
Oh, that's awesome. And as is becoming custom, Parker Fox in studio on Mondays. And here he is joining the chat, Parker.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations on the win. Super fun environment. Awesome to be there. I just want you to talk about your guy, Corey Bercich. Obviously, the athlete he is. But talk about the mental toughness of a kid who hasn't had an interception all year, had a bunch of success early in his freshman year. How do you stay the course? How do you stay mentally locked in when you're not making the exact plays you want to defensively, but then you make the big one, you bring it to the house to win the game on homecoming? So just talk about his mental toughness.
Yeah, Parker, it's so interesting because, I think in basketball, you can kind of, one person out of the five can kind of take over the game and just keep shooting. And then eventually they'll fall. In football, you're part of one of 11, right? And so I think that what happens is when a person's not making plays, they think they should, or they're comparing stats from a former year or a past year. Some people can press, and some people can go try to make a play. And I thought at Cal, all of our playmakers were trying to make a play instead of being within the system and allowing the plays to come to you. And then when they do, make the appropriate play. And I thought over the last few weeks, our big-time players have done that. They've allowed the plays to come to them. They stayed within the scheme. And then naturally, you're a great athlete, so those plays are going to be made. And when they present themselves, you got to go make it. But if you start going above and beyond and start going outside the scheme, that can really hurt the football team and derail you a little bit schematically and then give the opponent an advantage. But I just love his preparation. I love his resolve and his resiliency. Coming back from that Cal game, I think he's played 3 really good games. And I think everybody has this, I think I said this in my post game, this superhero type mentality when somebody has a really good year. They immediately get put in a comic book and superhero category where good always wins out. They're always going to make a play, and they're always going to, end the game at USC or UCLA or pick six it. And why aren't they? Defenses and offenses are really smart. They're made to allow your playmakers to really not affect the game. And that's what really good coaches do. But we live in this comic book world at times. And then if it doesn't happen, what's going on? So our guys are just stuck to the process. Coy stuck to the process of improvement. And I'm really proud of him for that. So we got a long way to go. He's got a lot of development to continue to get better at, but I do love his commitment to that process, Parker.
I know you would prefer every game was like Northwestern State. It's not a sweat. You win by 7 touchdowns, etc. But how good did that final drive in the fourth feel like? Just before the pick six, in fact, 14 plays, 70 yards, nearly 7 minutes off the clock. This was when you needed it, and you needed plays to be made. I mean, that kind of stuff just takes an opponent's soul, PJ. That kind of drive in the fourth, then you get the pick six. That drive to be able to cash that in, that had to feel special in the moment.
Well, it felt really good, especially in the moment. It felt definitely better after when the game's over and we won. But we did what we had to do to win the football game. And I think that that's more than any other year, I think, being at Minnesota, this particular football team with this particular conference, with the parity that's in this league, you have to find a lot of different ways to win games than just doing X, Y, or Z that you've always done. Because everybody's going to take away what you do well, and there's a lot of parity in the league. And so you've got to find a way to execute at a high level and to be incredibly balanced. And I don't mean 50-50. I mean doing what you have to do to win the particular game, that particular game, based on what the game's telling you. And if you look at our 2 wins in the league, we've had to throw the ball way more than we've naturally wanted to rush the football. Doesn't mean we can't rush the football, just the game has dictated something a little bit different than maybe what we thought it was going to dictate. So we've got to find a way to be more on the attacking end and us creating the tempo of the game than our opponent. But I'm really, really proud of that drive. That was a big drive for us, the 14-play drive. That's very difficult to do. But that's why that's what you want, and that's what you hope for in practice all off season. And as you get towards the training camp and then week to week, you want to be able to execute in those drives.
Yeah, coaches, we know nothing is more important than the next game. What kind of opponent is Nebraska? Obviously, you have a really talented running back in Emmett Johnson, Minneapolis native, a good quarterback in Dylan Raiola. This is a night game underneath the lights. What kind of threat does Nebraska pose coming into Huntington Bank Stadium on Saturday?
Well, they're a top 25 team. I mean, that's the threat that they are. Coach Rule's a phenomenal football coach. I think somebody on the interview this morning talked a little bit about their finding themselves. I think they found themselves. I think they know exactly who they are. And I think that, they're one of the better teams in our league. They're a top 25 team. Raiola has really played tremendous football over the last 6 weeks. And you look at his improvement from last year to this year with Coach Holmerson, and that just continues to get better and better. And their defense throws a lot at you. They blitz a lot of different fronts and coverages. They constantly keep you guessing, and they've got the athletes to do it. And I think, Coach Rule probably feels as comfortable as he's ever been with the roster that he's built. And, you'd expect to see that out of a Matt Rule team on multiple years. This is probably exactly where they thought they'd be. They're a ranked team, and we're going to have to be at our best on Friday night.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you got a busy 11 a.m. hour kicking off with members of the media, but just congratulations on the W and looking forward, hopefully, under the Friday night lights next Monday, we can talk about another win.
Look forward to it, guys. Thanks for having us on. Go the Bercich Guy, go Gophers, and Skol Vikes.
Thank you. That's PJ Fleck, head coach, Gophers football, and it's 27-20. The W over Purdue on Saturday night. Had to sweat it out a little bit. And Parker Fox in studio. Thanks for hanging out as you do on Mondays, my man. You were at the game.
Yeah.
And just I'm on my couch. I'm watching it. So very different perspectives. But it's homecoming.
Yes.
I think PJ mentioned like 200 plus alum. So you've been part of many homecomings. You know how these things work, and they're festive and they're fun. It was not fun watching whatever for a large part of that game. Just trying to figure out how to stop the run, trying to figure out how to get your own drive going. This is now, it's kind of becoming a talker with this team where the Gophers, who are coached by a guy that wants to run the hell out of the ball, can't run the freaking ball. And then in a span of really, 2 plays, right? Touchdown after, I think it was it Beers?
Yeah. They did the shotgun celebration.
Of course.
The classic.
With the score. And then on the backside of it, I think first play of the next drive, Bercich is headed in for the lead on the pick 6. Like how quickly that thing changed at Huntington Bank. That was sweet.
Yeah, it really was. It was one of those games where it was like, oh no, like just I've seen it before. I saw Bowling Green come and beat us in homecoming. I think maybe my first or second year at the U. I was like, oh, it's just such a fun environment. Night game, the lights are bright. Like PJ said, 200 plus alum, and you want the guys to come out and you want them to show out and you want them to have a good game. And Purdue brings the ball on the field, they score it right away, and it's like, oh, this could be another one of those. And but I think you do have to look at the resilience of this team. Obviously, like you mentioned, this is as we've seen PJ Fleck's team, they want the ground game. They want to give it to Darius Taylor, and they want him to run the football. Only 14 carries for Darius Taylor, 32 yards. Not the most impressive performance, but then you look at him out of the backfield, 6 catches for 67. Like that's something that makes a little bit more sense to us when we think about Darius Taylor. But I do give the defense a lot of credit. Only allowing 3 points in the second half. I think that's kind of what you got to look at when you're this Gopher football team is how do we win this football game? Well, we only gave up 3 points in the second half.
It's fine. Completely different. You lose to Purdue, Big Ten operation. That has its negative impact, of course. But that Bowling Green game, now you got me thinking because...
Yeah, sorry to bring that one up.
No, well, 14-10, something like that, I think the final was low scoring. But similar in this game where Bowling Green was doing everything they could, clomping around to let the Gophers take the game. Okay, we've tried, and it's a cute little operation, but eventually this Big Ten operation is going to beat us, and it just doesn't happen. Purdue, getting everything they wanted on the ground, they actually tried to give away the game, and we actually took it this time. Just the interceptions. I think maybe it was Carmo that had a fumble recovery as well. He hit it early. Just the turnover situation. And then even on that drive that I mentioned, as good as it was, we love it. 7 minutes off the clock. It's fourth quarter. It's go time, and everyone shows up. How about this D'Amico Kennedy cat? I think he had 2 face masks on on that particular drive alone. And so that put them, I got to be honest, with Purdue, very Vikings-like in their penalties, okay? Very undisciplined. and in some ways, that cost them the game. Yeah. And so the turnovers and penalties, the college game ain't so different than the pros in the respect that you have to stay disciplined and you got to hold on to the freaking football. And this time, our squad took it. I can actually see some similarities between that and Bowling Green.
Yeah, it's a very simple game, right, Nordo? It's
very simple.
There's a lot of things that happen. And one thing I wanted to highlight that I loved was I think they got a touchdown in the right corner of the end zone, and the kid on Purdue's rowing the boat. And you just love to see that come back and bite you, similar to what Jamar Chase had in the Packers game, Packers versus Bengals game. The third down situation, pass breakup, and then he comes and makes an unbelievable touchdown catch. So you love to see guys celebrating and then kind of get thrown back in their face. But like I said, it's a simple game, and you just have to make simple plays. And I think that's one thing I do have to give PJ a lot of credit for, is he had his guys willing to make the simple plays in the second half, and ultimately that leads to a victory. And as Coy Bercich said in his post-game interview, yes, he made the play. Yes, he made the interception. Yes, he has the legs to bring it to the house, but that's a defensive interception. They're playing a simple zone coverage. Quarterback tries to throw it over the top, doesn't have enough loft. Coy Bercich goes and makes the play, brings it to the end zone. So you got to give defensive coordinator a lot of credit for that, but you also have to give PJ and Coy, for just being able to make that kind of play.
Well, and so I was thinking about it, and like he said in the Cal game, and just kind of referenced a lot of different people gripping, right? Like they're trying to make the play, and in some ways, constantly thinking that you have to rise to some supernatural occasion is kind of it's a recipe for some form of disaster or at least ineptitude or mistakes at a fundamental level. I only saw the TV copy. That was just kind of a bad throw, wasn't it? I've only seen the one angle that most people saw. I watched it, and it kind of just looks like he didn't see Coy, and he thought he could just laser that thing in there, or kind of, like you said, it didn't have enough loft.
Yeah.
It was kind of just a terrible throw.
Yeah, it was. A quarterback, I don't know.
Coy's got to be there to make the play.
But you're right. You know what I mean? Is you test the person, and we've seen it enough times, Nordo, where D-backs will have the ball in their hands and they just drop it to the floor. That's why they're not receivers, right? We like to make that joke. But Coy Bercich is going to make that play 99% of the time, and then he's got the athletic ability to bring it to the house. So give him a lot of credit for that, but also a lot of credit to the defensive coordinator for putting those guys in the right spots.
And it's kind of crazy. We've talked about this before with this squad, but it's like you just can't lose that game the other night. You can't. I mean, just the way. No. And Cal was kind of a frustrating moment, and Cal was game in that spot, and even prior. I mean, you are in a position to potentially go take the lead, I believe.
Yeah.
You were down by a field goal, I think, when Coy muffs the punt. I think that's what it was. 17-14. They end up losing, I think, 27-14. But so that was frustrating. You get the bye, you get the chill, and then you start playing the schedule game. It's like just hold serve at home, and you're finding yourself in a pretty good spot in the conference. You can't lose that freaking game. And that's how it felt for 3 quarters. It was kind of like opening night against the Bears for Vikings fans. McCarthy, what are we freaking doing here? And then 3 straight scoring drives, and he's NFC Player of the Week. And maybe that sadly made us forget that the other 3 quarters existed.
Yeah.
But man, Drake and and then Coy with that play, needed that W. Because I think Nebraska's kind of on their way up.
Well, kind of a trap game in Purdue in a sense. They're probably the worst Big Ten team you're going to play. Rutgers might be in that conversation too. But
what about Northwestern?
Northwestern's, they're solid. They're
really?
I think they're a solid football team. I obviously haven't watched enough Northwestern football this year. But a good start for them. They just got to win at Penn State. Yeah, we know the struggles of Penn State. They got to win at UCLA. UCLA has kind of turned it around since then, maybe.
Sure.
But I like that Northwestern team. And anytime, you have one of those games where both teams love to run the football, they want to dirty the ground up, you got to go to Northwestern. At the end of the season, we're talking about a end of November type of game where there could be some snow on the ground there on the lake. You got the wind effect coming off the lake. So there's a lot of other variables when you talk
300 people there.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of variables. But I look at this, this Gopher schedule, and it's like Oh man, Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan State, Oregon, Wisconsin, all games, like none of those are gimmies. Even the Wisconsin game, that's a rivalry game. That's not a gimme. So you have to find ways to beat a team like Purdue. And at the end of the day, Nordo, as we talk enough about with any sports, it doesn't matter how much you win by as long as there is a green W next to that name, and the Gophers found a way to do that.
No, that's true. Now I will say this. Wisconsin might be a gimme.
Yeah, that one might be a gimme.
Something's wrong with the Badgers. Now,
there's something wrong.
Iowa has a right to go put 37 on them. I did not watch that game.
Huh? Wow.
I mean, apparently, Iowa found a guy that can throw the ball.
Okay.
So I have not done adequate research to see exactly what's going on down in Iowa City. But Wisconsin is just dreadful. I couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah, it fires me up too. And now they have to play at home against Ohio State. And that could be, if you're losing at home to Iowa 37 rip, that could easily 60 rip against Ohio State. So Wisconsin kind of in a bad position, and they keep paying their head coach as well. So they know something we don't. Maybe I don't know what's going on. But to look at the Gophers schedule ahead of them, that this Nebraska team that's coming in, this is a really solid football team.
Yeah,
Raiola at the quarterback position, he is an absolute stud. Throws the ball all over the field. We've seen all the Patrick Mahomes comparisons, obviously not to that level. But then a guy I want to...
wasn't the comparison because Raiola himself
copies all his antics. Yeah.
So it's antics, and I think even like the similar
hairstyle, wears the same sunglasses.
Okay.
The whole it's a little weird when you really dissect it. Like when you really go deep into like the fact that he's wearing the same sunglasses, he does the same pregame warm ups, he does the jumps, he's got the same cleats, like the whole deal. It's actually kind of odd.
Does he yell "I am him"?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the saying these kids are saying nowadays, Nordo. But a guy I want to highlight, Emmett Johnson, Minneapolis kid. I know him well. He's going to look to come in here and really carry
Where did he
football.
go to high school?
He was a private school kid. I think like a Blake or a Breck or some sort of private school in Minnesota. Small private school, but he is a Minneapolis kid, was a basketball player as well. So knew him from that kind of aspect more than I knew him from the football side.
Well, I'm absolutely going to find this. I just want to know which school that he went to. Holy Angels.
Holy Angels.
I think he went to Holy Angels.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
Well, another high-end product to come out of, wasn't that Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yeah, there
was
you
Fitzgerald
go.
Holy Angels?
I think you're right, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Some studs coming out of there.
Once a generation. I mean,
Factory.
If Emmett goes HOF, I mean, that's two generations of high-end talent coming out of Holy Angels and Richfield of all places. You mentioned Northwestern. How about them getting a coach fired, by the way?
I know.
I mean,
it's crazy.
So 2-3 weeks ago now, game day is at Penn State because Oregon's in town. Mm-hmm. And James Franklin's yucking it up on the stage with the guys, and everything's great, and it's a whiteout, and they've won 6 or 7 consecutive primetime whiteout games, and everyone's feeling good. They're in the college football playoff a year ago. I think they just smoked, maybe it was Boise State. I forget exactly, but they won a playoff game. And everything's just kind of hunky-dory. And they lose that game. Oregon's not bad. They have a right to win. But then to lose, was it UCLA they lost to the next week?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
And then you get beat at home by Northwestern, and now you're fired. And the team, and by the way, you can joke about like golden parachutes, right? Like a CEO finds his way out of a company and some stock options and various things, and he's off to Aruba. And best of luck to him.
Yeah, he's getting $49 million buyout.
Nearly $50 million, and he got fired.
Yeah.
Like, what an insane turn of events for Penn State. And Penn State, by the way, always kind of third. Wouldn't you call them, third because it's Michigan and Ohio State's world, and the rest of us in the Big Ten are just kind of
Oregon. And
we
totally
imported Oregon, and maybe USC can re-rise. Yeah, Indiana went to Eugene, I think, and got the W over Oregon, didn't they?
Beat them.
So there's some things that are currently changing and evolving. Not Ohio State. Michigan's got to find their way back to the top. Oregon's Oregon. But my goodness, what a turn of events where Franklin, 12, 13 seasons with that team. Yeah. You hit me with a stat before we jumped on air here.
Yeah.
PJ's legit the second longest tenured coach in the Big Ten now?
Yeah, only Iowa's Kirk Ferentz is the only one that's been there longer in the Big Ten. Crazy.
That is absolutely insane.
Especially to every summer I feel like we hear PJ's name in UCLA drama or somewhere else's drama or, not having the year he was supposed to have, fired drama. And it consistently turns over. PJ's back at the helm, leads us to 8 to 9 to 10 victories. We win a bowl game, like just a consistent approach. And that stat kind of hit me too, where it's like, holy Hannah, second most tenured coach in the Big Ten, 18 teams. That's saying something about what you do as a coach. And then also the relationship and trust and leadership you have from your athletic director, Mark Coyle.
So, and this is, I'm not digging deep in the weeds here. Just simply enough, 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line. Mark Gronowski is the Iowa Hawkeyes quarterback. And via the text messages, Iowa still doesn't have a QB, LOL. So, okay, my intel was wrong. I thought they found a guy that can throw, but regardless, a challenge. A challenge anytime you're facing Ferentz and the Hawkeyes. Northwestern, they got a guy fired. Unbelievable.
I love it.
Changing the face of the Big Ten, and Cignetti, I think, is the guy's name down in Bloomington in Indiana. And, man, he's going to be getting some fat cash. And we got PJ. That's what we got. We got PJ Fleck. They beat Purdue. Friday Night Lights. Huskers are in town.
It's going to be a good one.
Looking forward to it on Friday evening. You're home for Gophers Football, the Fan. We're going to pause. And then I do want to continue down the college route with you because your hoops team, it's right around the corner, my friend. And I want to chat about them and just jump into the world of sport with Parker Fox at Parker Fox 24 via X. Final hour is upon us next, right here on The Fan.
Before we go, The Fan and 2 Men and a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks to the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is check for this hour. Keyword check. KFAN.com. Keyword check.